The ice beneath Dr. Hana Kim's feet groaned. She froze in place, breath catching in her throat as the research station shuddered around her. 6 months on Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon, had taught her to recognize the warning signs of trouble. Control. Room, this is Hana. We've got movement in Sector 4. Anyone else feeling this? Static answered her call. The comm system had been glitchy all week, but this silence felt different. Another tremor, stronger this time, sent her stumbling against the lab counter. Test tubes clattered to the floor, breaking and spilling their precious samples. Microorganisms collected from Europa's subsurface ocean, the reason 12 scientists had traveled over 600 million kilometers from Earth. The overhead lights flickered, then died. Emergency red lighting cast eerie shadows across Hana's lab as the station's AI announced in its flat voice, "Warning. Structural integrity compromised. All personnel proceed to emergency escape pods." Hana grabbed her tablet and research notebook, stuffing them into her bag as she ran for the door. The hallway outside was empty. Where was everyone? She'd been working late again, lost in her research while the others slept. "Jinho? Director Sue? Is anyone there?" Her voice echoed down the empty corridor as she ran toward the central hub. The station groaned again, metal twisting as the ice beneath it shifted. Europa's crust was always moving, but never like this. She reached the hub and found chaos. Tables overturned, coffee mugs shattered on the floor, someone's jacket still hanging on a chair. Through the large observation window, she saw what had happened. A massive crack had opened in the ice field where their station sat, and half the structure had already slipped into the dark waters below. The escape pod bay doors stood open, but all the pods were gone. They'd left without her. Maybe they'd tried to call. Maybe they thought she was already in a pod, or maybe in the panic they'd simply forgotten the quiet scientist who kept to herself. Hana stood frozen, the reality washing over her like cold water. She was alone. Another violent shudder threw her to the floor. A spiderweb of cracks spread across the observation window. Hana scrambled to her feet and ran back the way she'd come, toward the emergency suit stored in each lab. Water was already pooling on the floor, seeping in from somewhere below. The temperature was dropping fast as Europa's ocean, kept liquid by the moon's core despite the surface temperature of minus 160 degrees Celsius, began to reclaim the human outpost. Hana reached her lab just as the lights failed completely. Working by the beam of her wrist light, she yanked open the emergency cabinet. The survival suit inside wasn't meant for long-term use in Europa's ocean, but it might keep her alive until what? Until help came? The nearest humans were on Ganymede Station, days away even if they launched a rescue immediately. The floor tilted beneath her as she struggled into the suit. Water poured in faster now, already ankle-deep and rising. Hana's hands shook as she sealed the helmet, her breath fogging the visor. "Think, Hana," she whispered to herself. "There has to be a way." But there wasn't. The station was breaking apart around her, and soon it would be crushed by ice or pressure in the depths. She waded through thigh-high water back toward the hub, thinking maybe she could find something useful. A beacon, a communication device, anything. The observation window gave way just as she entered the hub. The rush of water knocked her off, her feet tumbling her against the far wall. Freezing water filled the room in seconds. The suit's temperature regulator hummed, struggling to keep her from freezing instantly. Hana floated in the dark water as pieces of the station sank around her. Her wrist light illuminated swirling debris and the slow-motion collapse of the only home she'd known for half a year. Strange to die surrounded by exactly what she'd come to study, Europa's alien ocean, possibly the most promising habitat for extraterrestrial life in our solar system. The water reached her chest, then her neck. The suit was supposed to float, but something had damaged it. Perhaps she'd torn it while putting it on, or debris had punctured it during the chaos. Cold seeped in, numbing her limbs. Her vision blurred. "At least I'll be the first human to see what's down there," she thought with grim humor as the water closed over her helmet. A strange light cut through the dark water, too bright, Too blue to be from the station, Hana blinked, wondering if her oxygen was already running out, causing hallucinations. The light grew brighter, enveloping her in its glow. Something moved in the light. A shape approached, outlined against the brightness. Not human, not anything like she'd ever seen before. Translucent and flowing like water given form, with pulsing lights moving beneath what might have been skin. Is it melting? Hana gasped, her scientific mind still trying to categorize what she was seeing, even at what she believed was the moment of her death. Then came the strangest sensation. A voice, but not in her ears. A voice in her mind. We are not melting. Hana Kim. We are Duri. We have watched your kind for many cycles. Your station is lost, but you need not be. The being, Duri, reached out with what seemed like a limb but flowed like water. It touched her helmet and the material dissolved where contact was made. Hana tried to hold her breath, certain she would drown, but instead of cold water rushing in, she felt warmth spreading through her body. The light grew blinding. Do not fear, the voice in her mind soothed. You are the first human to meet us. There is much to learn. Then darkness took her. Hana woke up feeling strange. Her body seemed lighter, almost floating. When she opened her eyes, the ceiling above her wasn't the familiar metal panels of the Europa station, but a smooth, curved surface that glowed with soft blue light. She tried to sit up and found she could move easily, though something felt different about her muscles. The human is awake, said a voice that seemed to bypass her ears and go straight to her mind. Hana turned her head and saw Duri hovering nearby. In better light, the alien looked even more fascinating. Its body was mostly transparent like jellyfish on Earth, with swirls of bioluminescent blue and green moving through it. Multiple eyes with star-shaped pupils observed her with what appeared to be curiosity. Where am I? Hana asked, surprised to hear her own voice sound normal despite the strange environment. You are aboard our research vessel, Duri answered. We call it the floating mind in your language, though the translation lacks the poetry of our name for it. Hana looked down at herself. She was wearing what looked like a second skin, a thin, slightly iridescent material that covered her from neck to toes. More alarming were the faint blue lines visible beneath her skin, like glowing veins running alongside her natural ones. What did you do to me? She asked, trying to keep her voice steady despite the panic rising in her chest. We saved you, came another voice thought. A second cerulean glided into the room, this one larger than Duri with deeper blue patterns. I am Tay, elder scientist of this vessel. Your body could not survive in our environment without adaptation. Adaptation? Hana touched her arm where the blue lines pulsed gently. You put something inside me. Tay moved closer. Nanobiotic assistants. They help your body process our atmosphere, adjust to our gravity, and allow neural communication. Without them, you would have died. Hana should have been terrified, but strangely she felt calmer than expected. The nanobiotics are affecting my emotions, aren't they? Duri made a rippling motion that Hana somehow understood as approval. Very observant. Yes, they prevent panic responses while you adjust. The effect is temporary. Hana swung her legs over the edge of the platform she'd been lying on. The room spun briefly, then steadied. I need to see myself. Do you have something like a mirror? Tay gestured, and part of the wall became reflective. Hana gasped at her reflection. She looked mostly the same except for her eyes, which now had a subtle blue glow around the pupils and the faint tracery of blue lines visible beneath her skin. The changes are more than cosmetic, Tay explained. Would you like to understand what we've done? Hana nodded, her scientist curiosity overcoming her fear. Tay led her through curved corridors where other ceruleans worked at stations that seemed grown rather than built. They reached a large chamber filled with what looked like floating data displays, though there were no actual screens, just information somehow projected into the air. This is our knowledge center, Duri explained. Here, we can show you. A spot on Hana's temple tingled, and suddenly she could see information flowing around her in ways she couldn't have comprehended before. She understood complex molecular structures instantly, grasped mathematical concepts that would have taken her hours to work through on paper. The nanobiotics connect to your neural pathways, Tay explained. They enhance your natural processing abilities and translate our scientific concepts into forms you can understand. Over the next few days, Hana learned more about what had happened to her. The Ceruleans had been studying humans for decades, fascinated by their adaptability, despite what the aliens considered severe biological limitations. When they detected the Europa station's collapse, they decided to rescue at least one human specimen. Hana had been the lucky one they'd reached in time. Hana discovered her enhanced abilities went beyond just understanding alien concepts. She could process information faster, her memory had improved dramatically, and she could visualize complex systems three-dimensionally in her mind. At first, these changes frightened her, but she gradually began to appreciate them as she worked alongside the Ceruleans in their labs. "Your species is remarkable," Dury told her one day, as they analyzed samples from Europa's deep ocean trenches. "Most species we've encountered resist the nanobiotic integration. Their bodies fight against it, or their minds reject the neural connections. But you've not only accepted the changes, you're thriving with them." "Humans are good at adapting," Hana replied. "It's how we've survived on Earth despite being relatively weak compared to other animals." 2 weeks after her rescue, Hana had become an unofficial member of the research team. The Ceruleans valued her perspective, finding that her human way of looking at problems often led to insights they hadn't considered. Then came the day everything changed. Hana was in a small research pod with Dury, studying microbial life forms from Europa's deepest trenches, when alarms sounded throughout the ship. "Something's wrong with the primary life support system," Dury explained, its body pulsing with agitated colors. "We must return to the main vessel immediately." Back aboard the floating Mind, they found chaos. The central ecosystem that generated breathable atmosphere for the ship was failing, its delicate balance disrupted by what Tay called a microbial invasion, essentially an infection in the living systems that maintained the vessel. "The balancing organisms are dying," Tay explained to the gathered crew. "Without them, toxic gases will build up within 6 hours. We need to synthesize replacement organisms, but that takes at least 12 hours of growth cycles." The Ceruleans began discussing complex biochemical solutions, but Hana's mind worked differently. She saw the problem not as a biochemical issue but as a systems one, something her human background made her uniquely qualified to address. "What about a bypass?" she suggested, stepping forward. The Ceruleans turned to her, their body lights pulsing with curiosity. "On our stations, we always build redundancy into life-critical systems. Instead of waiting to grow new organisms, could we temporarily reroute the atmospheric flow through the water filtration system? The principles are similar. Both remove impurities just from different substances." Tay's body flashed with bright patterns. "That could work. The filtration membranes would need recalibration to process gases instead of liquids, but the basic principles apply." The next 4 hours were intense as Hana worked alongside the Cerulean engineers, her enhanced mind allowing her to keep pace with their rapid calculations. Her human perspective kept finding shortcuts the aliens hadn't considered. Practical workarounds that weren't elegant but would work in an emergency. When they finally activated the bypass system, everyone waited tensely. The ship's environmental monitors slowly stabilized as toxic gas levels began to drop. "You saved us all," Tay said later in the Knowledge Center. "Not just with your idea, but with how quickly you implemented it. No other species we've encountered could have made those mental leaps so quickly." "It wasn't just me," Hana said modestly. "The nanobiotics helped." "No," Tay corrected. "The nanobiotics enhanced what was already there, your human creativity, your problem-solving under pressure. These qualities evolved because your species faced constant challenges and limitations." Tay's body pulsed with what Hana now recognized as deep respect. "We Ceruleans evolved in a stable environment with few threats. We developed great intelligence but lack your adaptability, your ability to see beyond established patterns when facing crisis. That night, lying in her adaptation chamber, Hana looked at her hands where the blue lines glowed gently beneath her skin. She wasn't just a rescued specimen anymore. She had proven her worth. For the first time since waking up on this alien vessel, she felt truly hopeful about her future. Maybe, she whispered to herself, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. 3 months had passed since Hana's rescue. Life aboard the floating mind had fallen into a comfortable rhythm. Each day she worked alongside the Ceruleans, studying Europa's ocean life and helping improve ship systems with her unique human perspective. The blue lines beneath her skin had become a normal sight in the reflection pool, and she barely noticed them anymore. One evening, Hana sat with Duri in what the Ceruleans called the viewing sphere, a transparent bubble at the ship's edge where they could look out into Europa's ocean. Bioluminescent creatures drifted past like living stars against the dark water. Something's been bothering me, Hana said, watching a school of eel-like organisms with glowing fins swim by. Everyone treats me well here, but I sense secrets. When I ask about your home or why you're here instead of with others of your kind, the conversation always changes. Duri's body darkened slightly, a sign of discomfort Hana had learned to recognize. You are observant. Yes, there are things we haven't shared. Don't you trust me by now? Hana asked. Duri's colors shifted to a gentle blue. It's not about trust. Tay believed it was better to let you adjust gradually before burdening you with complicated truths. I think I'm adjusted enough now, Hana said firmly. Duri seemed to consider this for a moment. Perhaps you're right. Come with me. They glided through the ship's living corridors to a section Hana had never visited, a sealed area near the vessel's core. Duri pressed its gelatinous form against a pulsing panel, and the membrane wall parted. Inside was a vast circular chamber, filled with swirling data patterns more complex than any Hana had seen before. At the center floated Tay and several other elder Ceruleans, their bodies intertwined in what Hana had learned was their form of deep communication. You've brought the human to the truth chamber, Tay observed as they separated. I suspected this day would come soon. I want to know what you're hiding, Hana said. I've earned that much. Tay's body rippled in what might have been a sigh. Indeed you have. Very well. This vessel is not simply a research ship. We are fugitives from our own civilization. The revelation hit Hana like a physical blow. Fugitives? Are you criminals? Not in the way you might think, another elder named Pill answered. We are scientists who oppose the ruling council's decisions. Our civilization is divided between those who believe in peaceful cooperation with other species and those who advocate for less gentle approaches. You mean conquest, Hana said flatly. Yes, Tay admitted. The dominant faction believes that all other species should either serve Cerulean interests or be eliminated if they pose potential competition. We disagree. We believe in cooperation, in learning from other intelligences. Hana's mind raced. The technology you used to save me was developed in secret, Duri finished. It was meant to create bridges between species, not servants or weapons. When the council discovered our work, we were ordered to abandon it. Instead, we fled. That's why you're hiding in Europa's ocean, Hana realized, not just studying it. It provides excellent cover, Tay confirmed. The ice shields us from detection, and the ocean's chemistry disrupts tracking systems. Hana took a deep breath. Thank you for telling me this. But I feel there's still more. The elders exchanged what Hana had come to recognize as their version of uneasy glances. There is, Tay finally said, and it concerns you, or rather humans specifically. We need to show you something in the knowledge archives. Tay guided Hana to a pulsing console. Place your hand here. The nanobiotics will allow direct access. When Hana pressed her palm against the living interface, information flooded her mind. Not just facts and figures, but sensations, emotions, memories that weren't hers. She gasped, nearly pulling away, but Tay steadied her. Focus, the elder urged. Find the thread about human origins. Hana concentrated, and the data stream narrowed, coalescing into coherent knowledge. What she saw made her knees buckle. This can't be right, she whispered. The data showed unmistakable evidence that humans weren't the primitive species they appeared to be. Ancient genetic markers in human DNA suggested deliberate engineering, not evolution. Thousands of years ago, humanity had been far more advanced, with technology possibly surpassing even the Ceruleans. Then something happened. A deliberate genetic regression, dampening certain neural pathways, limiting human potential. We don't understand all of it, Tay said gently. But it appears your ancestors chose to hide their true nature, to become less than they were. Why would anyone choose that? Hana asked, her voice barely audible. The records suggest they were hiding from something, Pill explained. A cosmic threat so significant that becoming unnoticeable was their only defense. Hana struggled to comprehend the magnitude of this revelation. Are you saying my entire species deliberately made itself primitive? Not primitive, Dury corrected. Protected. They buried their potential deep in their genetic code, where it would remain dormant until needed again. A terrible suspicion formed in Hana's mind. The nanobiotics you put in me. Tay's body pulsed with confirmation. Yes, they've been interacting with those dormant genetic sequences, awakening what was deliberately put to sleep. We didn't plan this. It was an unexpected side effect of the adaptation process. Hana looked down at her hands. The blue lines were pulsing more rapidly now, matching her quickened heartbeat. That's why I've been able to learn your science so quickly, why my mind can process information differently now. And it's only the beginning, Pill added. The process is accelerating. Your brain is forming new neural pathways daily. Your cellular structure is becoming more efficient. Am I still human? Hana asked, fear evident in her voice. More human than humans have been for millennia, Tay said. You're becoming what your ancestors once were. Hana felt dizzy with the implications. Does this have something to do with why the ruling council fears other species? The elder's colors darkened simultaneously. A bad sign. There is an ancient prophecy, Dury explained reluctantly. It speaks of a dormant species awakening to reclaim their place as guardians of the galaxies. The ruling council has interpreted this to mean the end of Cerulean dominance. And they think humans are this species? Hana asked incredulously. The genetic markers in your DNA match descriptions in texts older than our civilization, Tay confirmed. When we discovered this correlation, we knew we had to protect you, all humans, from those who would destroy you before you could awaken. Hana paced the chamber, her mind whirling with revelations too big to process at once. So you're saying I'm turning into some kind of, what? Superhuman? And there's an alien civilization that might want to wipe out Earth because of a prophecy? That simplifies it, Pill acknowledged. But yes. Hana laughed, a short, slightly hysterical sound. Yesterday, my biggest worry was cataloging microbes. Now I'm part of some cosmic awakening. We understand this is overwhelming, Tay said gently. But there's more you should know. The Council has been searching for us, and recently their scouts have been detected in this system. Hana's laughter died. They're coming here? To Europa? It's likely, Dury confirmed. And if they find us, find you, they will see their fears confirmed. Hana looked around at the chamber, at the swirling data showing her species' hidden past, at the Cerulean elders watching her with concern. A strange sense of clarity washed over her. Then we need to be ready, she said, surprising herself with her steadiness. I need to understand exactly what's happening to me, and we need a plan. Tay's body glowed with approval. The human spirit, that's what the ancient texts admired most. Not just your potential abilities, but your courage when facing the unknown. Hana squared her shoulders. Well, let's hope the texts were right about us, because it sounds like we're going to need every bit of that courage very soon. The alarm jolted Hana awake. its pulsing tone different from the routine alerts she'd grown accustomed to during her 5 months aboard the floating Mind. This sound carried urgency, danger. She was on her feet before fully conscious, the nanobiotics in her system enhancing her reaction time. The blue lines beneath her skin glowed brighter than usual as she rushed to the command sphere. "What's happening?" she asked, finding Tay and the other elders already gathered around the ship's neural interface. "They've found us," Dury said, body flickering with agitated patterns of red and orange. "A Council warship has entered Europa's orbit." Hana's stomach tightened. "How long do we have?" "They're sending down a probe," Pill reported, tendrils connected to the ship's sensors. "They will detect our energy signature within the hour." "Can we move deeper into the ocean? Hide under the thermal vents?" Hana suggested. "No time," Tay replied. "They're using quantum resonance scanning. It would find us anywhere on this moon." The reality sank in. They were trapped. Hana watched the holographic display showing the massive Cerulean warship hovering above Europa's icy surface. It dwarfed their research vessel many times over. "What do they want?" she asked, though she feared she already knew the answer. "They've sent a communication," one of the younger Ceruleans reported. A voice filled the command sphere, speaking in the Cerulean language Hana had been learning. The message was simple and chilling. "Surrender the fugitives and the human specimen immediately, or face destruction." "Specimen," Hana repeated flatly. "That's what they're calling me?" "To them, that's all you are," Dury said sadly. "A dangerous anomaly to be studied and eliminated." "We should prepare for battle," one of the security Ceruleans suggested, though everyone knew it was hopeless. Their research vessel carried minimal defenses against a warship designed for conquest. "No," Hana said, suddenly surprising herself with her certainty. "I want to talk to them." The elders turned to her, their bodies expressing various forms of shock and concern. "They won't negotiate," Pill warned. "The Council believes humans are the prophesied threat. You especially with your awakening abilities." "That's exactly why I should speak to them," Hana insisted. "They fear what they don't understand. Let me help them understand." After heated debate, the elders reluctantly agreed, not because they believed it would work, but because they had few alternatives. They established a communication channel with the warship. The face that appeared in the holographic display belonged to Commander Naru, a Cerulean whose form was more rigid and angular than those Hana had come to know, with military markings etched into its semi-transparent skin. "This is unexpected," Naru said coldly when Hana stepped forward. "The human specimen speaks for the fugitives?" "I speak for myself," Hana replied firmly. "And I'm not a specimen. My name is Hana Kim, xenobiologist from Earth." "Your designation is irrelevant," Naru dismissed. "You will be surrendered to Council authority for containment and study." Hana took a deep breath. "I'd like to propose another solution. I request parley under ancient Cerulean law. As the representative of humanity, I invoke the right of species discourse." Behind her, she heard Tay make a sound of surprise. Shidao. Been studying Cerulean law in secret, preparing for this moment. Naru's form shifted colors rapidly. Surprise, then anger. "You have no standing to invoke our sacred laws. You are not recognized as sentient under Council declaration." "Then why? Do you fear me?" Hana challenged. "If I'm not sentient, why does a prophecy about my kind concern you? Your own logic contradicts itself." This gave Naru pause. After a moment, the commander responded, "Very well. Parley is granted. You will board our vessel." "No," Hana interrupted. "Neutral ground. I'll meet your representatives on Europa's surface, 2 hours from now." After the communication ended, the elders surrounded Hana. "What are you planning?" Tay demanded. "They will capture you the moment you're in their grasp." Hana smiled, a new confidence flowing through her. "I don't intend to be in their grasp. And I'm not going just to talk." She held up her hand where the blue lines pulsed with energy. "While they think we're preparing for parley, I need access to the full knowledge archives. It's time to see what I'm truly capable of." For the next 2 hours, Hana immersed herself in the ship's neural network, absorbing information at rates that would have been impossible for her months ago. The nanobiotics in her system worked in concert with her awakening genetic potential, forming new neural pathways with each passing minute. She learned the fundamentals of cerulean energy manipulation, tactical systems, and most importantly, their communication networks. A plan formed in her mind. Risky, perhaps impossible, but their only chance. When the time came, Hana stood in the airlock wearing a specialized suit Duri had helped create. It would protect her in Europa's harsh environment while allowing her enhanced abilities to function at full capacity. "You don't have to do this," Duri said, body pulsing with concern. "We could try to outrun them." "We'd never escape," Hana replied gently. "And I won't spend my life running. Neither should you." She placed a hand on Duri's gelatinous form. "Thank you for saving me that day. Now it's my turn to save you." The surface of Europa was a stark, beautiful wasteland of ice stretching to the horizon, Jupiter hanging enormous in the black sky above. Hana stood alone on a flat expanse, waiting as the cerulean shuttle descended. 4 military ceruleans emerged, their forms encased in protective armor that made them look more machine than living being. They surrounded Hana at a distance. "Where is Commander Naru?" Hana asked. "The commander does not dirty himself with specimen collection," the lead guard replied. "You will come with us now." "I'm afraid that won't be possible," Hana said calmly. "I'm not here to surrender." "Then why?" Before the guard could finish, Hana closed her eyes and activated the full potential of her nanobiotic connection. The blue lines throughout her body flared brilliantly, visible even through her suit. She sent her consciousness outward, reaching toward the warship hovering above. The guards moved to restrain her but stopped short when their communication devices began to malfunction. Above them, lights flickered across the massive warship. Hana had done what no human should have been able to do, interfaced directly with the warship systems during the parley setup. While the guards watched in stunned silence, she bypassed security protocols and accessed the vessel's central network. Information flooded her enhanced mind, and what she found confirmed everything Tay had told her. Records of ancient prophecies, genetic studies of captured humans over centuries, and most damning, the Council's deliberate campaigns to restrict human development across history. "You've been manipulating my species," Hana said, her voice oddly calm despite the effort of maintaining the connection. "Limiting our technology, creating conflicts to keep us divided, all because you fear what we might become." The lead guard raised a weapon. "Disconnect from our systems immediately." Instead, Hana pushed deeper, finding the ship's communication array. With a thought, she broadcast everything she was discovering, not just to the floating mind, but to every cerulean vessel in the system, including civilian ships that had been kept ignorant of the Council's true actions. The warship's weapon system suddenly activated, targeting the spot where Hana stood. The ice beneath her feet trembled as energy built up above. "So this is your parley?" Hana called out to the guards. "Destroying evidence of your Council's lies?" As the weapon prepared to fire, Hana reached deeper into the ship's systems. She couldn't control the advanced military hardware completely, but she could redirect it. The massive energy beam meant for her instead struck empty ice a kilometer away, sending up a plume of frozen debris. The guards backed away, their bodies showing patterns of confusion and fear. "I don't want to fight you," Hana told them. "I'm sending you proof of everything I found. Your council has lied to all ceruleans for generations. There is no prophecy about humans destroying your civilization, only one about species working together to face a greater threat." For a tense moment, no one moved. Then, incredibly, the lead guard lowered its weapon. "The Council communication network is flooded with these revelations," it said. "Commander Naru is being questioned by his own crew." Hana nodded, though maintaining the connection was draining her rapidly. "Tell them we want peace. Tell them what humanity could offer as allies rather than enemies." As her strength faltered and the blue glow began to fade, Hana saw something unexpected. More ships appearing in orbit around Europa. Not warships, but civilian vessels, research crafts, representatives of the Cerulean faction that had always advocated for cooperation. The confrontation had become a revolution. 1 year had passed since the confrontation on Europa's icy surface. Hana stood at the observation window of the newly established Europa research colony, watching as human and Cerulean ships moved through the carefully carved tunnels in the moon's thick ice shell. What had begun as a desperate standoff had transformed into something remarkable, the first true collaboration between humanity and an advanced alien species. Hana touched the glass, her reflection showing how much she'd changed. The blue lines beneath her skin had stabilized, no longer glowing constantly but pulsing gently with her heartbeat. Her eyes held a depth that sometimes startled her when she caught sight of herself unexpectedly. "Admiring your handiwork?" asked a familiar voice behind her. She turned to see Junho, one of the first human scientists to volunteer for the joint mission after news of the Ceruleans had been carefully introduced to Earth's governments. His easy smile and practical nature had made him a natural liaison between the human contingent and their alien colleagues. "Just thinking about how much has changed," Hana replied. "Sometimes I still expect to wake up back in my old research station, discovering this was all some oxygen deprivation dream as I drowned." Junho laughed. "If this is a hallucination, it's the most detailed one in history." He joined her at the window. "The Cooperation Committee is meeting in 10 minutes. Tay asked if you'd join. Apparently the Earth delegation has new questions about the adaptation process." Hana nodded. Of course they did. Ever since the carefully selected representatives from Earth had learned about the nanobiotic technology and Hana's transformation, there had been equal parts excitement and concern. Everyone wanted the benefits of enhanced cognition and physical resilience, but few fully understood the profound changes that came with it. "Did you tell them I'm not a good example of typical results?" she asked, as they walked through the colony's wide corridors, a blend of human architectural practicality and Cerulean organic beauty. "I tell them every time," Junho replied, "but you're still the only case study we have of full human Cerulean integration. The others who volunteered for limited adaptation are showing promising results, but nothing like what happened with you." They passed through areas where human scientists worked alongside their Cerulean counterparts, studying everything from Europa's unique ecosystem to the ancient genetic markers that linked their species. The air filled with a mix of spoken language and the gentle mental hum of Cerulean communication that Hana had taught some humans to detect. "Sometimes I wonder if I should feel guilty," Hana said quietly. "Being chosen not because of merit, but because I happen to be the only survivor of a disaster." Junho stopped walking and turned to face her. "Is that really how you see it? After everything you've accomplished?" Hana shrugged. "On my darkest days, when the responsibility feels too heavy. Well, on behalf of humanity and reasonable Ceruleans everywhere, let me say we're lucky it was you," Junho said firmly. "Not everyone would have tried to understand rather than fear. Not everyone would have looked for peaceful solutions instead of advantages to exploit." Hana smiled at his earnestness. "Thanks, I needed that today." They reached the meeting chamber where representatives from both species were already gathering. Duri noticed Hana immediately, its body brightening with friendly patterns as it glided over to greet her. "The Earth Minister of Science has many questions," Duri communicated with a touch of amusement in its mental voice. "Tay is being very patient, but I think he would appreciate your human perspective." Hana could see Tay surrounded by serious-looking human officials at the far end of the room. The elder Cerulean was projecting calm, but Hana had learned to read the subtle signs of strain in the way its colors pulsed. "I'll rescue him," she promised Duri with a smile. As she made her way across the room, she reflected on how natural it now felt to move between these two worlds, human and Cerulean. She understood both perspectives, could translate concepts that one species found obvious but the other found alien. It wasn't always easy, but it was profoundly rewarding. "Ah, Dr. Kim," said the Earth Minister as she approached. "Perhaps you can help us understand the implications of wider adaptation implementation. Some of our advisors worry about creating different classes of humans." Hana nodded. It was a legitimate concern. That's why we're proceeding cautiously. The first wave of volunteers are all scientists who understand the risks and benefits. What we learn from them will help us develop protocols for wider application, if that's what humanity decides it wants. But you've already decided it's beneficial, noted another official skeptically. Hana considered her words carefully. I've experienced both the benefits and the challenges. The nanobiotics don't just enhance physical and mental capabilities, they change how you perceive reality, how you process information. It's not just an upgrade, it's a transformation. And yet you seem very much human still, observed the minister. I am human, Hana said firmly. Just as the first humans who learned to use fire or create tools or develop language were still human, we've always been a species defined by our ability to change and adapt. The meeting continued for hours, delving into technical details and ethical considerations. Throughout it all, Hana noticed how naturally Tai and the other Ceruleans had adapted to human communication styles, just as she and other humans had learned to appreciate Cerulean perspectives. They were becoming something new together, not erasing their differences but building bridges across them. Later that evening, Hana stood on the observation deck that overlooked the newly established research outpost on Europa's ocean floor. Through the reinforced windows, she could see the bioluminescent life forms that had first drawn human scientists to this distant moon. Now they were being studied by the united efforts of two intelligent species. A gentle touch on her shoulder announced Duri's presence. You seem contemplative tonight, the Cerulean observed. I received a message from Earth today, Hana explained. They've located some of my distant relatives. Apparently, I have a second cousin in Busan I never knew about. That brings you happiness? Duri asked, still learning to interpret human emotional nuances. It's complicated, Hana admitted. I lost my immediate family years ago. I was alone for so long that I stopped expecting connections. Then I lost my research team when the station collapsed. Now suddenly I have relatives reaching out, plus all this. She gestured at the thriving colony around them. The concept of family is important to humans, Duri observed. Yes, Hana said softly. It is. We have similar concepts, Duri continued. Not genetic lineage as much as chosen bonds. The crew of the Floating Mind became my family when we chose exile together. Hana smiled. I understand that better than most humans would. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the gentle dance of alien life forms in the ocean beyond the glass. Finally, Hana spoke again. Do you ever regret saving me that day? Duri's colors shifted to patterns of surprise. Never. Why would you ask this? Because it changed everything. For you, for your people, for humanity. So much responsibility from one impulsive rescue. It wasn't impulsive, Duri corrected. We had been observing humans for decades. We chose to intervene because we believed in the potential for connection. A small group of human and Cerulean children entered the observation deck, part of the first educational exchange program. They pointed excitedly at creatures in the water, the human children speaking aloud, while the young Ceruleans communicated in pulses of light and color. Yet somehow they understood each other perfectly. Look at them, Hana said softly. They don't see differences. They see companions, fellow explorers. The future, Duri agreed. Junho appeared at the entrance to the deck, waving to catch Hana's attention. Sorry to interrupt, but the transport from Earth has arrived with the new equipment. They need authorization to begin unloading. I'll be right there, Hana called back. As she prepared to leave, Duri reached out with a gentle tendril. Earlier today, you told the Earth officials you are still human. Do you truly believe this? Hana considered the question seriously. I'm still me. Changed, evolved, adapted, but still essentially the same person who once worried about research deadlines and proper sample containment. And yet now you bridge two worlds, Duri observed. Hana smiled. That's the most human thing about me. We've always been bridge builders. As she walked away to help with the new arrivals, Hana felt a profound sense of belonging. She had lost her first family when her parents died, lost her second family when the research station collapsed. But here, among humans and ceruleans working together toward understanding, she had found something greater, a family that spanned worlds and species, bound not by blood but by shared purpose. And that, she reflected, was worth all the transformation and challenges she had endured. Not just survival but connection, not just existence but belonging, a true home among the stars.